902-890-7359.
That's me.
Can you confirm? Is that you, Betty?
Yes, it is.
Oh, great. Thank you, Betty.
You're welcome.
So we're just going to give it another minute or two, as people are still coming on, and then we will get started. We just had another phone number come in, 902-483-1566. Can you just let me know who that is?
Kent Rogers, Dave.
Oh, great. Thanks, Kent. Okay. Okay. Go through a few housekeeping issues here. We're going to get started in a moment. First of all, thank you for everyone for coming. And then we just have a couple of housekeeping issues. Like I said, we ask that everyone just be patient with us tonight. This is the first time we've done a virtual AGM. And due to the COVID-19 response, we have been authorized by Section 14 of the Emergencies Measures Act to conduct our AGM virtually. In order to reduce the background noise, we have muted all the audio. So everyone is on mute except for our speakers. If you do have a question, there is a button, a chat button in the top left portion of the screen, and you can go to that and type in your questions from there. So for voting purposes, we will ask once a motion has been tabled on the floor, once the motion has been made, we ask that you type in yay or nay with respect to the votes. That's how we're recording them this evening. Also, too, in the event of a disruption of software or internet services on the user's end, which means your end, please either log out of the system, restart your browser, and log back in again. If it is a software issue, and if there's something wrong with the software itself, we'll have to please log out, wait for 10 minutes, and then come back on, and we will try and resume the meeting at that time. If there is a catastrophic event with our software at that time, we will, if we're unable to restart it after the 10 minutes, unfortunately, we'll have to reschedule the meeting, and that meeting will take place in the event of a disruption. Will take place 1 week from tonight on Tuesday, May the 5th at 7 p.m. So once again, just if everyone just be patient with us as we go through this. This is our first time doing this, so we appreciate everyone coming out tonight. And with that, I would like to turn things over to our chair, our incoming president, Wendy Sentman. I was just talking about, looking at Anne's face and thinking about, so.
Thanks, Dave. Thank you. I'll take that as a compliment for sure.
It certainly is.
Yes, absolutely. So it is the time, 7:05, so we'll call this meeting to order. Thank you everyone for attending, and welcome to our first virtual AGM. As Dave said, I'd like to echo some of his comments. To please be patient with the process. We've done a lot of things to prepare for this, but please be patient with how this all plays out. So I'd like to welcome all of you, and especially some of our special guests on the call tonight, starting with our past presidents from the NSGA who are present, Sue Raitt and Tom McCarthy. Thank you for your presence. Also like to introduce Lawrence Applebaum, the CEO of Golf Canada, Charlie Beaulieu, our president of Golf Canada board, and Liz Hoffman, vice president. I believe we have Alison Chisholm, also a board member from Golf Canada on the call tonight, and also a past president of our neighboring province, New Brunswick. Jeff Hutt, our regional director for Golf Canada, is also with us. So thank you all for being here. As we find ourselves in an incredibly unprecedented time, I've hung the flag behind me with intention tonight, and I would first like to start our meeting with a moment of silence. Still an emotional time, but I'd like to honor the lives that were lost in Nova Scotia last week with a moment of silence, please. Thank you all. I'd like to follow up the moment of silence with something that we've discussed at kind of a high level already. Heidi Stevenson, the fallen RCMP officer, was actually a member. Her and her husband and 2 children were members at the Hartland Point Golf Course in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. And in the coming weeks, we hope to announce a special honor that we're going to bestow in Heidi Stevenson's name. So I'm very honored to share that information as well. So as an incoming president, I'm going to take a moment just to share some thoughts. It's an unprecedented time with COVID-19. We're all under a lot of pressure in our personal lives, in our work lives, and now in our golf lives. I think that the executive of the NSGA, along with Anne and Bryce in our staff positions, have come together in an incredible way in the last 6 weeks to show incredible leadership, for our clubs, for our members. The communication has been unprecedented in communicating with everybody, and we're all focused on the same task. Trying to get golf open in Nova Scotia. As we see New Brunswick and PEI, New Brunswick's open. Congratulations, we're all very jealous. So I think as these provinces are starting to open, we've got real hope for the future. And with protocols and communication, guidelines, working with our public health, working with the province, we're really positioned to really help get clubs open. So it is unprecedented, and the president's message this year, I guess, is very simple, that we're going to do our best to serve our membership moving forward in the best way possible. I'm incredibly excited after being with this group and serving on the board for the last 2 years. I'm excited by the depth and the breadth that we see on the board tonight. The talent and the skill sets of people that are coming to this table. It's a very exciting time. And I qualify the incoming executive, David Bolton, as first chair, and Jeff Baker as second chair. The chair people that we're going to have around the table, the committee members, and again, the staff presence. It's just unprecedented, and it's an incredibly exciting time. So I feel very confident that we're going to get through what's happening with COVID-19 to be on the positive side of it and be open for business and do it in a very respectful and humble way. In comparison to other sports going on in the province, we may be one of the lucky ones to get out and be out there and be active. So I think that's all for me. I would actually like to also add that Roland DeVoe, past president of the NSGA and Golf Canada, has actually just joined us on the call. So welcome, Roland. Lovely to have you. And so at this point, I'm going to turn it over to David Campbell. David, I'd ask you to qualify the roll call and establish our quorum, please.
Thank you. Thanks, Wendy. I'm going to review our votes that we have by proxy currently. We have Abercrombie, Amherst, Ashburn, Aspatagan, Bell Bay, Brightwood, Eagle Crest, Glen Arbor, Greenwood, Kenwo, Oakfield, Osprey Ridge, Lingan, Truro, and West Pubnico. In attendance right now, and please verify, I'm not going to read through all the clubs. I'm recorded who's in attendance. If I have missed you or your club, please just note in the chat box for me so I don't miss anyone. Like I said, this is our first time doing this. In attendance, we have Paragon, Fox Hollow, Yarmouth, the Lakes, Eden, the River Hills, Antigonish, Granite Springs, Lingan, the Highland Links. And I believe, I think that's it. We do have a quorum of 26 clubs in attendance or with proxy votes, and we have a total of 39 people attending the meeting. So we have established a quorum. So,
thank you, David. So moving on, I will move for an approval of the agenda. The motion is to accept the agenda as presented and circulated on April 6th. And the motion has been moved by Kathy Beaton and seconded by Rob Collins. All in favor, please take a moment. All in favor, please respond yes in your text box. Contrary minded, please respond with a no in your text box. And this is where we will be on a slight time delay and where we ask for your patience as people vote and the votes are tallied.
So, we're good.
Okay, thank you, David. So is the motion carried?
The motion is carried.
Motion is carried, thank you.
Motion is carried, yeah.
All right, thank you. Normally I can see David's face, so I get the nod. Okay, moving on to our next item. And I would ask if anyone has any questions, and I guess I'm gonna apologize, or any additional agenda items, can you please text them in your text box? If you have any additional agenda items, I apologize. I believe I missed that. So as we look for the approval of the 2018 annual general meeting minutes, are there any questions? David, please confirm if you see any questions.
Yes. There's no questions.
Okay, thank you. So moving on, I'm looking for a motion for approval of the 2018 AGM minutes as presented and circulated on April 6, 2020. This has been moved by Bill McMillan and seconded by Bruce Smith. Again, I'd ask you to now go to your text box and qualify whether you are in favor or not with a yes or no. David, please advise.
The motion is carried.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll now ask for Matt Golding to speak on the 2019 Nova Scotia Golf Association's audited financial statements. and to get the membership's approval of the 2019 audited financial statements and the new auditor or the existing auditor approved as well. Matt?
Can someone please confirm that I've been unmuted?
You're there. We can hear you.
Excellent. I just didn't want to start talking and nothing coming out. So thank you very much. So it's kind of interesting with the statements. The first time I've done this report where the statements are, we'll call them relevant in the sense of we're doing the statements for December 2019 as opposed to this being in October or November and looking back kind of eight to 10 months. So we ended the December 31st, 2019. The statements that you have in the agenda were prepared by Shute & Company. This is the second year that they've completed the audit for the association. We talked at the last AGM about their appointment, and we'll be seeking their appointment at this AGM for the upcoming statements, which will be for this fiscal year ending in December 31st, 2020. I've prepared kind of a report, just kind of high level of what's in these financial statements. Just talking about the income statement for a moment, we did end the year with a net profit of about $19,000 versus $18,100 in last fiscal year. So a slight increase in net profit. The revenue collected did go down from our membership, but we did have additional sources of revenue this year that we didn't have last year. The one thing I did want to note is that our membership revenue did go down to $402,000 from $430,000, which represents about 6.5% decrease in membership. That works out to be about 500 members for last year. The expense of the association saw an increase by about $30,000. Most of this was done in wages. As if you were at the AGM last year, you would recall that we hired a new person, the operations manager, in 2019, partially through the year. So if we're looking at kind of comparison from 2018 to 2019, the reason why salaries have increased is because we actually have an additional kind of half a body for 2019 as Bryce joined the association kind of throughout in earlier on, but in the middle of in 2019. We also saw some increases in the slope rating rules and travel in 2019, as most of us understand the fundamental changes in the rules and the World Handicap System really justified the association putting on additional resources to make sure that our members and individuals knew the change in the system. From a cash position, on December 31st, so this is something I've had in my statements for a number of years, and it's really just to talk about kind of the changes that we've seen the association over the last number of years. So in December 31st, 2014 to 2016, the association had a decline in cash of $201,000, all the way down to about $106,000 in the bank. So we in 2014 we had 200,000, and we've had it all the way down to about $100,000 in 2016. We ended this last fiscal year with $138,000, so about $38,000 better than where we were in 2016. The cash did go down slightly this year by, I think it's, let me find it there, by about $3,000. We did have positive cash from operations, so by keeping the doors open, we generated about $23,000. There were some capital assets that were purchased, mostly equipment, computer equipment, and then we had just a non-cash working capital timing issue, basically of a receivable from our good friends at CRA. All that to say that we did have a decline in cash, but the positive things is from an operational standpoint, we were positive, and that receivable was collected in, I think, March of this year. So it's more just a kind of a timing issue. So our cash is at the end of December 2019 was in a healthy position, and it would have increased if that receivable was collected a little bit earlier, like in previous years. From a tournament standpoint, we did have a deficit this year of about $1,000 versus a profit of about $10,000 in 2019. This is mainly due from additional tournaments that were added into the schedule and slightly lower registrations in kind of the key events that we would normally see maybe a bit more profitable. The membership, so I have another section here about membership fee increase. There's no fee increase that's being proposed at this AGM for this year. We, as an association, keep working diligently to maintain our expenses. However, as I've indicated over the last number of years, with revenue decline of 6% of membership, it's been 3% per year before that. We are going to need to look at a fee increase, and it'll in all likelihood be something that will be brought forth at the next AGM. Obviously, proper notice will be given, and discussions on that will be done long in advance of that AGM. But it should be noted that in all likelihood, a fee increase next year will be something that will be at least discussed, if not tabled at that AGM. I can't do a financial report without mentioning COVID-19. So at this time, none of us really know what COVID-19 is going to mean for the golfing community or how it will affect kind of the day-to-day lives once the state of emergency is lifted. As such, it's hard to predict what 2020 will look like for the association. The board of directors have been discussing alternatives depending on the length of the state of emergency. Contingencies have been put in place to reduce operating costs further if needed. The association is also in the process of applying for the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy to help offset some salaries and wages. As more information is learned and more realistic projections can be prepared, the association will adjust forecasts for 2020 accordingly. Ultimately, the goal, as Wendy indicated, maybe in slightly different words, but the ultimate goal here for the association is to support the golfing community in Nova Scotia in fiscal 20, but be prepared financially to be able to offer kind of services from what our members expect for 2021. So 2020, we don't know what it's gonna be. The association is going to try to provide that support to the Golfing Association of Nova Scotia, but we really need to make sure that we have the financial ability to kind of open up and turn on the lights in 2021 as though it is kind of a normal year. So 2020 is kind of still unknown at this point, and we'll adjust, or the association will adjust the forecast as needed as we learn more. I just want to conclude with the golf industry is experiencing challenges, which we all can understand. Please report the association's continued to build on its financial successes over the past few years and the changes made over that time to reduce the liquidity risk facing the association. The association must continue to be cautious in the coming years to ensure that there are no material losses, and that's really extremely important.
That's me. That was me. Sorry,
Debbie.
And that's
okay.
extremely important in our current situation as well. So that's the kind of the conclusion of my report. The draft statements are there. They are in draft because they do need to be approved by the membership. I will ask for a motion shortly, but I did want to see if there's any questions that people did have.
And if you do have a question at this time, please use your type function to ask that question.
So I get to use one of my favorite lines. I'll accept, or I'll take silence as being acceptance of the report. If it's in order, I would like to ask then for a motion to approve the financial statements as presented for 2019 that were attached to this meeting's agenda. I think technically I need a seconder here.
Yeah, Bruce Smith is second. Sorry, go ahead, Wendy.
Yep. Yeah, thank you, Matt. Bruce Smith has seconded that motion. We'll ask once again for everyone to go to your text function and qualify your yes for approval or no for contrary decision. Dave, please advise.
The motion is approved.
Thank you.
And then secondly, I need to ask for a motion to appoint Shoup and Company to be the auditors for the association for the fiscal year of 2021.
And so your motion is seconded by Jeff Baker. And I'll ask you all again one more time to please vote yes or no in the text box. David, please advise.
The motion is approved.
Thank you. Thank you for your
Thank you.
report, Matt. And it's, you know, with some sadness that I also report that Matt has actually is stepping down after the AGM. Matt has served 4 years with the NSGA and has done some amazing work on coming in at a time when we really needed, you know, an injection of a reevaluation, I suppose, in terms of what the association was doing. And Matt has done a stand-up job. So Matt, thank you sincerely from all of us. Also, to follow that up, Matt's report, as well as any other reports, will be sent out with the minutes of this meeting. Moving on, I'm going to ask David Bolton to speak to the proposed bylaw amendments. David?
We're just going to...
David Bolton?
We're going to... Yeah, we're working on it.
Right on.
I lost him. Is he one of the NSGA ones?
I might be.
Oh, there he is. There you are. You're on, sir. Go ahead.
David.
All right, you can hear me now? So
Yes.
This will be the first amendment to the bylaws that we had passed en masse a little over a year ago. And there's only 3 simple amendments. And part of it was the province wanted a couple of changes, and we wanted one change. So the changes from the province, in order to facilitate the ratification, there was a paragraph regarding the closing down of the possible NSGA, and they wanted it removed because it is already in the memorandum of association, and they did not want it duplicated in our bylaws. So that was removed, and if you need to find that, I can send it to you, the wording. It's in the memorandum of association for the province. The second one was a change in the provincial laws. They wanted voting members under a special meeting to be able to remove any board member. In our bylaws, it had previously said the board had a policy, an ability to remove a board member, but it did not include the voting members. So that's been changed so that the board no longer has the authority to remove a board member on its own, or however, there are ways that a board member can be removed through non-compliance. But the voting members, the voting members and the members of the association representing the clubs have the ability to ask for a special meeting for the removal of any board member. The third part is a change in the bylaws in order to include the wordings required in order to conduct an AGM virtually as we are today. And that has been put in place with the expectation that if we are moving forward for the next 12 to 18 months, this is probably the platform that we'll be using, or the style that we'll be using in order to do annual general meetings and special meetings in the future. So those are the 3 amendments. They've all been published and posted, I think, as of April 6th. And I'll make a motion for the bylaws. First of all, is there any questions?
Dave Campbell, do you see any questions on the text function?
No, I don't. Not at this moment, no.
Okay.
Okay. With that, I move to approve the bylaws as circulated.
Thank you, David. And that has been seconded by Bruce Smith. I'll ask you all again one more time to please go to your text function and for your approval by qualifying a yes or no in the text box. David Campbell, please advise.
The motion has passed.
Thank you. Thank you, David Bolton. So we'll move on to the election of directors. Ernie Muse is our nominations chair and also a past president of the NSGA. Ernie, are you there?
Just going to unmute him here in a second. Ernie, you are now unmuted.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yep.
Thank you.
With your
Okay. In accordance with the bylaws of the Nova Scotia Golf Association, I am pleased to present my report of the nomination committee that was circulated on April 6, 2020. The following directors have been nominated for the following position on the board of directors. President, Wendy Setner. Vice President, Dave Bolton. Second Vice President, Josh Baker. Past President, Dave Aker. Director at Large, Rob Collins. Director at Large, Bill McMillan. Director at Large, Bruce Smith. Director at Large, Jim Ovalby. Director at Large, Kathy Beaton. Director at Large, Ernie Muse. Director at Large, Carla Wims. Director at Large, Alex Digo. I would like to make a motion to approve this report as circulated.
Thank you, Ernie. Thank you for all your efforts, and that is seconded by Bill McMillan. I'll ask you all once again to please go to your text box and vote for your yes or no response. David Campbell, please advise.
The motion has been approved. We will note that there's a couple of vacancies on the board right now. We do have a couple of new board members that will be appointed following this meeting. They agreed to come on the board after our 21-day timeframe for the release of our bylaws or the nomination report. So that's why they're not on that list, but they will be appointed at a later date. And those individuals, Sean, our Vice President of Finance will be Sean Stewart, and a new Director at Large, Kent Rogers.
Thank you, David.
And I do have a question from Lindsay McIntosh at the Lakes. Is it possible to list where the directors are located? Yes, we can. And we do that on our website when it's updated. So, but I can go through it with you right now. Our President, Wendy, is from Bedford. Dave Bolton is from Kentville. Vice President Jeff Baker is from Halifax. Past President David Aker is Kentville. Director at Large Rob Collins is from South Ohio. Bill McMillan is from Eastern Passage. Bruce Smith is from Bedford. Jim Ogilvy is from Dartmouth. Kathy Beaton is from Anglican Nish. Ernie Muse is from Clare. Carla Wilms is from Clyde River. And Alex Digo is from Halifax.
And Sean Stewart.
And Sean Stewart is also, Sean and Kent are both from the HRM as well.
That's a great question. Okay, so I'd also like to thank a couple of our members who are not reoffering this year. I'd like to thank Karen Gardner and Cody Blois for their involvement with the board for the last year. And once again, Matt Golding. So I'd like to turn it over to our Executive Director, David Campbell, for a brief report.
Excuse me. Thank you, Wendy. Sorry, I'm just clearing my throat. I too would like to acknowledge the senseless act of violence that took place last week here in Nova Scotia. Our province is and will continue to be an amazing place to live. From the land we live on to the ocean that surrounds us, we are very fortunate to call Nova Scotia our home. What makes our home so special is the people. We're strong, hardworking, fun-loving, and humble. Our province has been deeply wounded. And while this wound will heal, the scars will remain forever. We will carry this tragedy with us and we'll always remember those who were taken from us. We need each other now more than ever, and we will get through this. Thank you. Again, I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time to join us this evening. I'm going to give a brief operational report as to what's taken place with the NSGA since the state of emergency was enacted in March. We developed a COVID-19 action plan that outlines our key decisions and when we're going to make these decisions over the next few months. With respect to our championships, the key dates we have decided upon are May 1st, which will make decisions regarding our events that take place in June. June 1st will be the date that we make decisions for our events that take place in July. And July 1st will be for our events in August. It is our goal to conduct all of our provincial championships in 2020. And we're open to making changes to dates in order to make this happen. Please be assured that we will do everything we can to host our provincial championships this summer. However, we just don't know what's going to happen, and we don't have those answers today. Over the past 2 to 3 weeks, I've had a number of meetings with what's called the Allied Golf Association, the Atlantic Allied Golf Association. And that group consists of Lyndon Guerin from the PGA Atlantic, Jim Thompson, who's the regional director for the NCGA, Jim Nix, who is the Atlantic executive director of the Atlantic Superintendents Association, Tyson Flynn from New Brunswick, Sean Joyce from Prince Edward Island, Greg Hillier from Newfoundland, and Jeff Hutt, who's our regional director from Golf Canada. Our group developed this communication strategy that included a COVID-19 industry statement that was released last Friday. We've also developed in written letters that were delivered to Dr. Strang and Premier McNeil's office. These letters included recommendations and guidelines that we outlined that how we could safely resume golf in Nova Scotia under the new COVID safety protocols. The recommendations are aligned with other regions across Canada. With those recommendations, again, we don't know what's going to happen in Nova Scotia. I suspect that we're going to get a time frame in the next week or two. One of the major issues that's come out from the other regions, being Saskatchewan and New Brunswick that have opened already, is the 20-minute tee times. We have recognized that here in Nova Scotia, and part of my communication to both Dr. Strang and to the Premier was that we felt a more reasonable time frame of 12 to 15 minutes is more reasonable and in line with what can be expected for normal golf operations. At the end of the day, these are recommendations, and it really is up to the province to make these decisions. And as a group, we wholeheartedly support and support any recommendations that come from the province and Dr. Strang's office. We've also been hosting bi-weekly conference calls with our zones. We've been doing every 2 weeks. We've met with the clubs to update them with our activities and what's been taking place. We've also used that as an opportunity to listen to our clubs, to hear what we can do to help them move forward and come out of this epidemic. They've been very helpful and very informative for us also. It's been a great way for us to reconnect with our clubs at the start of the season. With respect to that, I just want a couple closing notes. I'd like to thank David Acker, who was my president for the last year. I appreciate his support. I also would really like to reach out and say thank you to Ann and Bryce, who I work with in the office. They are literally the backbone for me, and they are such a great team to work with, and I thoroughly enjoy working with both of them. We work well together, and we also have a good time. So, and to echo Wendy's comments earlier, Matt, you've been just like to acknowledge Matt Golding's contributions over the last 4.5 years. We were in serious jeopardy 4.5 years ago. We were hemorrhaging money, and through Matt's guidance over the last 4 years, he's really helped us turn the ship around and made a huge impact on our organization. So thank you, Matt. I certainly appreciate everything you've done for our organization. And with that, I'm open to any questions. I see there is one question. So,
Yes, I'll take that question, Dave.
oh, is that
So
it on the Cape Breton?
We've got a question come in. Just 1 second.
So I can actually take it if you want, Wendy. So it's from Lindsay from the Lakes, and she asked about representation from Cape Breton. We actually, up until last week, we had a Cape Bretoner on the nomination report. I will mention too, Jim Ogilvie would not be happy if I didn't mention that. Although Jim lives in Dartmouth, he was born and raised in Glace Bay. But we did have an individual from Cape Breton on the board. He currently is employed by the provincial government in the Office of Business Development, and through the interactions with dealing with COVID and reopening the golf industry in Nova Scotia, I was actually in contact with him a lot, asking him questions, and it became a bit of a conflict of interest for him. And at that time, he made a decision that he would remove his name from the nomination report, and that he felt that he would be better served as a voice for us within government, as opposed to sitting on the board and having to take an arm's length from all the decisions and that. So I hope that answers your question.
I think that's a great question. And I think, Dave, if I can just kind of follow up on that. We have some great representation geographically, and I know the executive, I'll be honest, the incoming executive mobilized on the day that the state of emergency was put in place in Nova Scotia. And, one of the things that we've been discussing is more geographic reach. And we've spoken specifically about, we're very pleased with the reach that we have right now, but we know we can be doing better. And the goal is to reach all corners of the province, so to speak. So, if anyone's interested, please put your name forward. That's definitely something that we would like to see. So thank you. Another great question. Are there any other questions at this time? Okay, so moving on, I would like to introduce once again Lawrence Applebaum, the CEO of Golf Canada. Lawrence, are you there?
Just let me just unmuting him.
And I'd really like to once again reiterate my thanks for you taking the time out of your busy schedule with all that's happening with COVID and golf in Canada and around the world, for that matter. Thank you very much for taking this time.
Well, thank you very. Can you hear me okay, Wendy?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
And thank you for the thumbs up. If you don't mind, I believe, and I don't have him visually on my screen, so I would love, if it would be okay, to defer to Golf Canada's president, Charlie Beaulieu, for some opening comments, and then I could continue with some prepared remarks. Charlie, are you there?
Yes, he is. I just unmuted
Thank you.
him.
So again, reintroducing Charlie Beaulieu, the president of the Golf Canada Board of Directors.
Thank you, Wendy.
And again, Charlie, for your time. I know you've been a very, very busy man, so thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but first, obviously, on behalf of Golf Canada Board of Directors, please know that our thoughts and prayers are directed to the people of Nova Scotia, who, in addition to dealing with the COVID-19 crisis, had to face this tragic mass shooting episode last week. Our sincere condolences to the families deeply affected by this incredible situations, and to all people in Nova Scotia. Thank you. Thank you, David, for your invitation to participate at the Nova Scotia Golf Association AGM this evening. In addition to Liz, Lawrence, Roland, our second Vice President, Dale Jackson's also joined in. So just to mention that we, Dale is also part of the meeting. I sincerely wish to express our appreciations for the support that your organization brings to Golf Canada. The recent challenges that we face at the end of February and now with the COVID-19 crisis are a great example of excellent collaborations and interactions between our two organizations. It is important to continue to communicate, to collaborate, especially during these difficult times in dealing with this crisis. We place great value in the relationship with your organization. Important and courageous decisions must be made during these tough times. Golf Canada is no different, and the board stays connected very closely with our CEO, Lawrence, and the executive team. A strong link of communications have been established through weekly board update meetings and shared summaries of COVID-19 task force meetings. It is crucial to keep the board, our volunteers, our stakeholders, our partners well informed of the constantly evolving situations with this major health crisis. By staying united and working all together, we are stronger to facing these challenges generated by this pandemic period. Wendy, I wish to congratulate you for your nominations as president of Nova Scotia Golf Associations. And I wish to also acknowledge all directors recently appointed to the board of Nova Scotia Golf Association. I had the opportunity to visit Nova Scotia, the beautiful Nova Scotia, during the last summer, holding a golf industry forum and attending the Canadian Men's Amateur Championship at Glen Arbor Golf Club and at the Links at Brunello, a real challenging course. Gave me the opportunity to meet many of you, and I want to thank you all, board members, volunteers, staff, for your tremendous contributions and efforts for the success of this event. Your dedicated efforts are important for golf in Nova Scotia and for golf in Canada as well. Also, I wish to acknowledge a very special person, Bill McMillan, who received at the 2020 Golf Canada AGM the Distinguished Award of Volunteer of the Year for his incredible contributions to the golf community, not only in Nova Scotia, but in Canada as well. Well deserved, Bill. I'm confident when the time will come that you will be ready to welcome back the golfers in a very safe environment. Golf will be well positioned to emerge and to play an important and vital role during the recovery period. I hope that we all go back to a more normal life in a very near future and will enjoy again a sport that we are so passionate about. All the best, and I hope that you and your families stay safe through this crisis and will have soon the opportunity to enjoy a healthy golf season. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Charles. And thank you again for your time this evening. Lawrence, would you like to follow up with some comments of your own? And I do want to apologize. I was unaware that our colleague Dale Jackson was on the line. My apologies, Dale. Dale is also the on Golf Canada's executive. Lawrence?
Thank you, Wendy. It really is nice to see everybody, and of course, I'm completely still enthralled with seeing Mr. Campbell in a jacket and tie. So that has put a smile on my face for sure. I have some things to share with you, and there's some lightheartedness and some uplifting things that I would like to share. But I really do appreciate you sharing the sentiment of the feeling of the province, and in light of the horrible tragedy. I'm really been moved by your words, and I would like to extend, I didn't know that the Stevenson family were a family of golfers. And if there's anything that Golf Canada can do to brighten their moment when things are appropriate, please know that Golf Canada is with Nova Scotia Golf Association and doing something special together. I do want to say congratulations to a few people. To David Acker and his time on the board, to Wendy Sentner and joining as the incoming president. It's a very special moment to have another strong female leader in golf. And so I welcome you and the entire new board that is coming on in 2020. It is really going to be an exciting time as we move into recovery. I enjoyed so much hearing Ernie's reading of all the new board members, and having Ernie's dog echo that strong sentiment was probably the highlight of my day, which needs a little bit of a highlight. There's been incredible work done by David and his team in this challenging moment. And I do want to have a nice shout out to Matt for the reading of the financials and to his moving on, and to Ann and Bryce, of course, who've been a rock for Dave and the whole association. Charlie said it really well. Last summer, we had this incredible moment of coming out to Nova Scotia and being able to see the men's amateur and being able to see these two incredible golf courses. Brunello. Many of you don't know that Charlie shot his first 70 at the links of Brunello. Unfortunately, we got rained out on number 15, so we're going to have to leave it as a 70 overall. But we did have a wonderful, wonderful trip, and I will say those two golf courses are two of my favorites for us to come back and visit again. So thank you so much for that incredible hosting. Wendy said the number one goal going forward is to open Nova Scotia for golf. And we've really been, a bright spot in the last few days has been the recent news that New Brunswick is now open for golf, that Saskatchewan is open, that British Columbia has been opened with protocols and has had a great track record. And I encourage all of you at your golf courses and with the association to continue to highlight this great news and great track record that BC has shown. More good things are coming. We don't know when, but it feels like for the first time, we actually can see golf in our future in the month of May. The other stories of collaboration and innovation have happened in Atlantic Canada. To see the Atlantic Golf Association come back and to have so many of the provinces working together with our golf associations, with the PGA zones, and with all of our partners feels great. The next step is us moving towards trying to have the right protocols and operational recommendations and guidance in place. And I do want to just highlight that we will continue to try and provide the best resources possible. We haven't always gotten it right. We haven't always done it in the perfect rollout, but please continue to engage forward with us and have a little bit of acceptance that it's not going to be perfect. As Dave mentioned, there has been some things that have come out about tee times and timing, and I know that I had concerns along with many of you. We'll get this right. We'll make it so that we have good opening protocols in place. So continue to lean in with us, work with us. We know as operators, you're on the front lines. You know more than we do in day to day. So continue to give us the tools that we can to lobby and tell our government, medical, and health experts all the great things you're doing. We'll continue to work on those resources, and Dave has been one of the most vocal provincial executive directors who's helped us get that message out there. So please continue to lean in with Dave. Last but not least, I do want to tell you that on a national level, we know that golf is going to be part of this recovery. It's ideally set up to bring Canadians back to a sense of recreational normalcy. It doesn't feel like it now, but I think golf is headed for a great season ahead. So please continue to lean in. Lean in with your clubs. Lean in with your individuals. Lean in and help us collaborate and innovate together. We're here together. It actually has been a bright spot in our days, and knowing that we've got some great things ahead of us. So know that we're here. know that we're looking forward to our time ahead of us. And thank you for a wonderful year in Nova Scotia. And I look forward to seeing you all this summer. All the best from Golf Canada.
Lawrence, thank you so much for your words. The kindness from Golf Canada and yourselves personally is very welcome. Thank you so much. And just to clarify, just so that no one is misquoted, the Stevenson family is a family of golf. Heidi was not as big a golfer as her husband and the two children. So I just don't want anybody to misquote us, but we'll certainly include you in honoring the family moving forward. So thank you both. Are there any questions, David Campbell?
No, I don't. There's been none posted. If anyone has questions at this time, certainly do. If not, we can move to adjourn.
Okay, so we'll just give it one more minute. Anything?
No.
So with no questions, I want to thank all of you from the staff of the NSGA to my peers on the board and Golf Canada representation today. I want to thank you all for attending. I will ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Matt Golding, I think, just raised his hand.
Matt Golding, and a seconder, please. Seconder
Ernie.
is David Bolton is a seconder. So at 7:57, we'll call our first unprecedented COVID-19 AGM a wrap. And thank you all so very much for being a part of this. Thank you all. Take good care and be safe.
And just if we could have our new board of directors reminded that we're back on for a quick call at 8:15.
Okay, thanks everyone. Be safe. Take care.
Thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time tonight.